What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the CaliKidOfficial Podcast. This is episode number 32, so let's get right into it. So this past weekend, we had SummerSlam 2020. It was showcased at the new Thunderdome, I do believe, and it was a very eventful affair. I didn't watch all the matches, but I saw some of them, but we're going to do a quick rundown of everything that happened. So of course, we had Apollo Crews defending his belt against MVP. That was pretty much the start of the kickoff show. He pretty much retained that, and he's scheduled to face Lashley at the upcoming Payback pay-per-view, which is interesting, right? Because to have a pay-per-view a week after you just had one of your biggest ones, that's something different. And then we get the Bayley versus Asuka's women's championship match. I've been paying attention to this rivalry. Basically, Bayley and Sasha Banks have been pretty much the queens of the women's division. They held both of the main women's titles as well as the tag team belts. And basically, Asuka got the opportunity to face both of them, but in separate matches. They had a match or so prior to SummerSlam to decide who would have to defend their belts first. Bayley lost her match, so she had to defend her belt first. Things were pretty interesting in that match. At one point, Banks was helping to distract Asuka, and she sacrificed herself by getting knocked off the rope, which allowed Bayley to pin her. And then fast forward into Sasha's match with Asuka. She was hoping Bayley would do the same thing, but when it came time for her to take the bump, she moved out the way and she ultimately lost her title. So what I'm thinking what they're doing with this is they're going to try to call some type of division, and I think at some point Sasha and Bayley are going to be wrestling for the SmackDown's Women's Championship, I do believe. And then of course, after the match, they attacked her to try to weaken her. And you see right there. Then we get the Raw Tag Team Championship match. Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza. I didn't see this match, but the Profits managed to retain their belts. Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville. This is kind of like a best friends turns into enemies type of storyline. Mandy ended up having to cut her hair. Originally, the match was supposed to be a hair-for-hair match, but due to what happened where some weirdo tried to kidnap Sonya, that was scratch, and they went with loser leaves WWE. So this is just playing into, the outside situation. That was a very unfortunate event. It was stated that Mandy was also at the house at the time of this incident, and the guy was trying to come after her as well. So it's good that nothing happened to them and that this idiot is locked up in jail. But Mandy Rose, she put on a decent performance and she managed to win. So as of the storyline, Sonya Deville is scheduled to leave. Then of course we get Dominic versus Seth Rollins. This rivalry has been brewing for a while. It all came ahead when Seth injured Rey Mysterio's eye, and that pretty much got Dominic involved. Pretty good fight. Some interesting spots. Got put through a table. Of course, they brought out the weapons with the kendo sticks, so they was getting whacked with the kendo sticks. And then at the end of the match, Seth Rollins locks Rey Mysterio to the rope so he can't do anything, similar to how the Triple H and Randy Orton match was. Like after the match was over, he had locked Triple H to the ropes and he kissed Stephanie McMahon when she was unconscious. So it was like a similar type of setup, and Rollins ended up winning the match with the curve stomp. So that's going to be interesting, seeing how this plays out further. And then of course we get Drew McIntyre versus the rejuvenated Randy Orton. This was a very dope match. The ending was kind of because Drew ended up winning with like a quick schoolboy pin, and so he managed to retain the belt, which leads to you know, now on after that on Monday Night Raw, Keith Lee basically issued a challenge to challenge Randy Orton, so they're going to be going at it at Payback, so that's going to be crazy. And then of course we get the WWE Universal Championship match between Braun Strowman and The Fiend. The Fiend ended up winning, and shortly after the match was over, we get the return of Roman Reigns. He's been, out of action because, he had kids recently and he didn't want to risk the chance of giving them, the COVID. So he stayed out of action for a minute. So he returned. He's pretty much going to be a heel at this point. That's just crazy. I mean, there was rumors that he was supposed to return, and so the rumors were apparently true. And so basically he entered the match and speared the Fiend after the match was over. I should say no, he punched the Fiend, was beating up on the Fiend. He speared Braun Strowman, and I believe he whacked him with the chair as well. I think that was, he whacked Strowman with the chair after he speared him. So now at Payback is going to be a triple threat for the belt, and he was talking a whole bunch of shit like, oh, you're only a monster when I ain't here. So this is dope. This is going to be interesting. I will be tuning in for that. That's going to be crazy. So the matches that I'm going to be paying attention to is, of course, Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. Then we have Cruz versus Lashley for the U.S. title. Then we got Sasha Banks and Bayley defending their tag titles against Baszler and Jax, which that's an interesting pairing because Baszler and Jax don't get along, but they have their issues with Sasha and Bayley. And what I'm guessing is going to happen from this, Sasha and Bayley possibly are going to lose those belts, and then at that point, Sasha's going to probably blame Bayley for her losing all her titles, and then that's going to lead to them going against each other in a championship match. That's my prediction. Or they can have it to where Baszler and Jax, since they don't get along, the chemistry in the ring isn't as great, so they do something to cost themselves the match. But I think they might go that route, pitting Sasha and Bayley in a championship match. So, and then of course, the triple threat for the Universal title. No holds barred, so anything goes, right? So there's going to be some shenanigans in that match. But moving on from that into the NBA, after what happened in Wisconsin, all the NBA teams decided to boycott their upcoming games. And as a result, meetings were held, things were talked about. Some players were upset because there wasn't any fair warning given by the Bucks as to what they were going to do. So players were confused, like, why are you doing this and we don't have a plan? So that's what led to a lot of confusion between the teams. But all the teams got back together along with management, and they decided to continue the playoff games on Saturday, as well as form a couple of different things. So it says all NBA arenas will be converted into voting locations for the upcoming November election. League and players will form social justice coalition, which will focus on voter access and advocacy for purposeful police and criminal justice reform. So, they use their leverage to try to get a couple of things done, but I don't blame players for feeling that way. It's like, especially, us as the black people, we go through a lot, and it's like, it's the same thing over and over and over again. So people get fed up with that. If you have a platform that you can use to speak out about things, you should do it. And this was the perfect opportunity for that. So we'll see how these initiatives that they agreed upon pay out going forward. Alright, it says the players in the league will also immediately establish social justice coalition made up of players, coaches, and owners that will focus on issues such as voting access and advocating for meaningful police and criminal justice reform. And the NBA and players will work with TV networks to create advertising spots during the remainder of the postseason to promote greater engagement in the election process in their communities. Not continuing the playoffs would have been another crushing blow during an already damaging season financially for the NBA and its players. Yeah, probably could have possibly bankrupted them because a lot of their money comes from the advertising and sponsorship. It says we lost revenue from China after TV partners stopped televising games when Houston general manager Daryl Morey tweeted support Democratic protesters in Hong Kong and no offense in arenas since March. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, the league was already headed for losses of hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. And this speaks to our true value. If we weren't here, this entire country would collapse. Because they're dependent upon us, to help generate, all this revenue. So so of course, they at this point they don't have the leverage and they have to oblige the players. Which, should be doing that anyway. It shouldn't take, these type of situations for, people in those positions to want to act. But it's good that, things are being done. But I'm going to get more into that shooting later in the podcast. But moving on from that into music. So apparently 6ix9ine and Lil Reese are going back and forth. I don't understand people. They know he's a troll, and rule number one of trolling is to not feed the troll. And if you feed the troll, they will continue to troll. So they have yet to realize this, and we get another episode of that. So apparently he went to Chicago to promote his album, albeit because they told him he can't come to Chicago. And the name of his album is called Tattletales. More trolling from his situation. Is scheduled to be released on the 4th. Reese catches winds of, him going there, and he, issues threats and stuff online. And then, 6ix9ine responds with trolling. So, let's see here.
You just landed in Chicago and all that. I got a huge announcement for y'all. I'm dropping the album September 4th. Tattletales, the album.
His ass is stupid. His ass is stupid, boy.
Try to keep it down. September 4th, y'all listen, September 4th, the album's coming. Let's pay respect to all the fallen soldiers.
No, keep on, dude.
What?
Nigga, you know how many niggas died here?
A lot of niggas died.
Mad niggas. Yo, we can get
I mean, trolling is cool and all, but there is a limit to what you should probably troll with, because there could possibly be unforeseen consequences. So
the link is in my bio right now. Go pre-order. There's some hitters over there, so let me get in the car while they come.
So after that, Reese, of course, responds. He says, "You got extorted and rat on your whole crew. B, stop playing with me, you little nigga, you whole pussy out here. That same nigga got bullet holes for fucking around. I don't trick." And then he responded. Reese responds again. He says, "I heard you just tried to sneak on block, bro. LOL, don't lose your life playing on the internet, 6ix9ine." And then 6ix9ine responds with, "I seen a video of you shitting on yourself." And then 6ix9ine basically mocked the situation by imitating that situation, but it looked like he deleted it because I don't see it. Yeah, he posted the clip of Lil Reese getting jumped or whatever, but he also did like a mock of the skit too. Let's see if I can find it. Lil Durk, damn the feds in Chicago. Everybody going inside. I mean, it's not funny, but the way I read it, it sounds funny to me. Oh, okay, here it is right here.
Yo, city boy! Break! Down, city boy! Down low! Yo, city boy! Yo, drag him! Yo, city boy!
Yeah, this is crazy. Hopefully nobody gets hurt behind this, but you don't feed the troll. You don't feed the troll. So, of course, like I was saying earlier, Lil Durk and all of them, got wind of this. 6ix9ine has since went to Old Block and he basically paid respects to Newski, who's Durk's cousin that got killed, by laying flowers and stuff down. And Durk basically said that he's going to be releasing music on the same day as 6ix9ine, which I don't think that's going to really do anything because he has his own fans and they're going to buy his music regardless. So if he did that to try to take shine away from his album, I don't think that's going to really do much of anything. But hold up, I'm going to have to mute that. Don't want to get hit with the claim, so can't play it with sound. But basically it's him kneeling in front of the gates of Old Block with his Barney looking attire on. I guess this is his new merch for his album release, and he basically laid down some roses, got on his knees and did a prayer similar to that of how the Muslims do. And then his friend posted Friday, August 28th at 2:37 p.m. because the last time he went to Old Block, it was at the Crocodile in the morning. And so he basically did that because people would probably say, you did that when it was in the morning. So that's what that was. But he playing with fire. But Durk says he's going to be releasing some new music called The Voice next week. He reasserted himself as a voice of the streets by claiming that he will drop on the exact same date. I mean, that's cute and all, but it's not gonna do nothing. Moving on from that, it's looking like things between Spotify and Joe Budden is at its end, as he has announced that the partnership between them will come to an end once his contract expires. So, of course, you know, for several episodes he's been talking about the re-up negotiations with Spotify. Apparently they came to the table, had negotiations, things didn't go his way, and he will no longer be exclusively on that platform. So, you know, he put out on his latest podcast his reasoning behind that. They basically offered him a deal that he felt was less than adequate, and he feels as though that they used him for his audience, you know, to build up their numbers. And then after he proved that an exclusive partnership was profitable, they started to acquire more of those and basically just use them for that. And he feels as though he should be compensated more than what he already is. And so it's unfortunate, but you know, that's how they be doing people in business. They'll get you somewhere and then use you. He says, September 23rd, I cannot tell you where this podcast will be, he says, but as it stands, I can tell you where it will not be, and that's Spotify. So yeah, the start of their deal was in August 2018, and the contract expires September 23rd of this year. So it was a 2-year exclusive deal. So it says he takes the announcement as an opportunity to scorch Spotify and detail his history with the company, which in the years since he signed his deal has become a sizable competitor in the podcast field. He claims his show exceeded Spotify's audience reach expectations by 900% to the point that his listeners crashed the platform. Yeah, he brought millions of people over to Spotify. A lot of people only got Spotify and premium Spotify because of, you know, the audiences that podcasts are bringing over there. Spotify isn't really, it seems as though they're not really interested in building up an ecosystem. Is just looking like they're trying to snatch and grab the biggest platforms and then throw in some type of 360 deal with these platforms. Because when they bought Gimlet and these other platforms, the podcasts that were on there, they now basically own them. So like, these people are basically slaves to something that they created. So that's some of the things that he was touching upon in his podcast. He says he's never received a bonus. The company wouldn't allow him and his team to take vacation days on Christmas and New Year's Eve because that would have required them to miss 2 episodes. While the company wouldn't pay them actual bonuses, it offered to give him Rolexes instead. So you got money to give people, but you don't want to give them actual money. You want to give them a gift that's going to depreciate in value. Which, that's like a spit in the face if you ask me. He proceeds to say, only to say the watches they picked out were too expensive. Then he suggested Spotify give money away to their fans for Christmas instead. The company declined. That was the first time it dawned on me that Spotify is pillaging, he says. You pillage the audience from the podcast and you continue to pillage each step of the way without any regard for the fans. He says, compared to 2 years ago when he signed, podcasters can find better deals. Yup, because you got people like Barstool giving out deals, to podcasts as well. Podcasters can find better deals from multiple companies, and he suggests that Spotify is only interested in finding new popular shows rather than feeding the podcasting ecosystem. Everybody's not looking to feed the soil, some are just looking to take the fruit, he says. So basically he's saying that they're not trying to sustain, the people that's helping them build up their platforms. They just want to take what they can get and discard them if they feel as though that they shouldn't have to pay them what the actual podcasters are asking for or what they're demanding. He says he and Spotify differ on where podcasting is taking us for the next 5 years. I'm not going to succumb to any bad deal that's not working favorably towards the people who have created that path. Broadly, he questions the entire podcasting system, basically what a podcast stream is worth, because the music side has already put out a standardized version of what a stream is worth. So basically, he's saying that they're at the new frontier of podcasting is new, and there hasn't been anything outlined as to what a stream is worth. So that allows a company like Spotify to dictate certain things that should already be put in place. It goes on to say Spotify said it wished to keep him on the platform. As Joe referenced on his show, we made him a considerable offer, one that was significantly larger and many times the value of the existing agreement and reflective of the current market and size of his audience. Unfortunately, we could not come to terms and respect his wishes to find a new home for his show. It says Budden isn't the first to speak up about this. The host of The Nod, which became a Spotify-owned show after the company acquired Gimlet, see, this is what I was talking about, spoke out in June about their issues with show ownership. Brittany Luce and Eric Edding say they built their show and audience but own none of it. Yeah, and that's the problem. These companies, that's why independence is key, because these companies can have these deals, and if you're in a contract with a company that gets absorbed or something, then things get tricky and they can end up owning all your shit. It goes on to say, at the end of the day, investing in someone's talent isn't the same as having a talent yourself, Luce told The Verge. It's very strange that Spotify and Gimlet are the only people who can claim ownership over The Nod and its segments. And how is that? Spotify has made headlines in the industry by signing big names like Kim K, Joe Rogan, Michelle Obama to exclusive shows. The terms of all those deals are unclear, but at least part of the strategy is for Spotify to sell ads against those shows, netting it additional revenue. The company includes ads on podcasts even if premium subscribers are listening. It needs big shows to sell big ad deals. Of course it does. So it's like, what's the point of having premium if you still, have to watch ads? Podcasting has clearly become a potential massive moneymaker, but some hosts want more ownership and payment. Budden doesn't clarify if he's entertaining other offers and whether he thinks that the future of podcasting. He paved the way for the exclusive model and is seemingly abandoning it, at least for now. Yeah, and that's what he's frustrated about. He basically was the guinea pig for the exclusive model. They saw that it worked, and then they proceeded to push him aside and give these other platforms money that he should also get as well. So that's what I feel he's angry about. And then I think he was talking about how they're trying to get a piece of his other IPs as well, which of course, if you're a creator, you're going to hold on to that. But once the full podcast come out, it'd be interesting to see what he has to say additionally. So, but moving on from that, apparently it looks like Kendrick Lamar is being sued again for copyright infringement. This is like the second or third time that this has happened. So It says Kendrick sued for copyright infringement over Rihanna featured Loyalty. A lot of times when these lawsuits happen with these songs, it be artists who don't have a big buzz looking to gain some clout to come over to their song that may or may not sound similar to an existing song. And then a lot of times these lawsuits end up getting dropped. So it says the TD artist and his label and producers are named in a lawsuit by a musician who claims that he created Loyalty in 2011. Really? So why you wait 9 years later to do something? This is what I'll be talking about. Another day, another Kendrick Lamar lawsuit. He's been sued over Keisha's song, Rigor Mortis, All the Stars, Pray For Me, and now Loyalty. So that's actually what, 5? 1, 2, 3, 5 now. According to reports, he accused of copyright infringement from musician Terrence Hayes, who claims that the track carries the entire composition, including title, melody, harmony, and rhythm from his own song. Hayes further claims that he also titled his track Loyalty. 2011, he claims that he worked with another musician named Joseph Lindbergh. In 2015, Lindbergh contributed to Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly, and Hayes states that producer Terrence Martin accessed Lindbergh's computer and lifted his song. That's kind of like a recurring thing. These artists end up working with somebody. That person ends up having access to their music, and then at some point, a bigger artist gets the song or whatever. I've heard this before, and nothing came of it. It says, while we have yet to hear Hayes' alleged version of Loyalty, the lawsuit claims the award-winning track was slowed down through a synthesizer and combined it with another sample to disguise the copying. Also, the chord progression of the infringing song is identical to the subject track progression with one exception. In measure 3, the infringing song progression returns to AM for 3 beats before ascending to EM in an upper octave. So that's basically like an adjustment in the key of a song. Hayes is asking for a court to award him all profits amassed. He's not going to win this. He says that his song is named Loyalty and he created it in 2011. Did you not release the song? Because how come nobody's heard of it? Usually when these things happen, they put their songs side by side. But let's see. So this is the paperwork that he's filed with the Central District of California. So you can find a full article on Stereo Gum. So basically in the documents, he has the keys and basically showing, I guess, the comparison between the two recordings. But we want to hear the song to see if they sound similar. Personally, I don't think he's going to win this. We'll just have to pay attention to this situation and see what happens. But moving on from that, this past week, there are some very unfortunate events that took place, specifically in Wisconsin. A man by the name of Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back by the Kenosha Police. Apparently, the situation occurred during an altercation. The guy was basically breaking up a fight, and at some point, he told officers he had a weapon in the car. They followed him around into the car. When he opened up the door and leaned forward to grab something, one of the officers by the name of Rustin Shetsky grabbed him by the back of his shirt, shot him 7 times. And since this situation, a bunch of riots have erupted within that area, and the guy is in the hospital recovering from those injuries, and at the moment he's paralyzed from the waist down. And this, of course, led to the NBA teams boycotting and whatnot. And this is going to be a civil lawsuit. This is going to be a civil lawsuit because 7 shots in the back, that's trying to kill, not apprehend. And it's more than one of you. So how can y'all could have tackled him to the ground? So the article states, authorities on Wednesday released some of the first details surrounding the shooting of Jacob Blake. Newly released information described the moments before the accident. It says, according to Wisconsin DOJ, police were called to the 2800 block of 40th Street Sunday after a woman said her boyfriend was present and was not supposed to be on the premises. Officers arrived at the scene and attempted to arrest 29-year-old Blake, at one point using a taser in an attempt to stop him, but that attempt was unsuccessful. They should have tackled him. It was two of y'all. Mr. Blake walked around his vehicle, opened the driver's side door, and leaned forward, a press release from the department read. While holding on to Mr. Blake's shirt, Officer Rustin Chesky fired his service weapon 7 times into the back of Mr. Blake. No other officer fired their shot. Authorities noted that the Kenosha Police Department does not have body cams. Convenient. Therefore, the officers were not wearing body cameras. According to the release, Blake admitted to investigators that he did have a knife at the time, and a knife was recovered from the driver's side floorboard of his vehicle. No other weapons were found, the report said. So he didn't have a gun like people lied and said. He had a weapon, but the weapon wasn't in his possession. So, first of all, y'all shouldn't allow him to get to his car. When he turned his back to y'all, that was a perfect opportunity for you guys to tackle him to the ground, which y'all didn't do. Y'all immediately had your weapons drawn and had him trained on his back. So that officer is more than likely going to lose his job, and they're going to be sued a pretty penny. It says officers immediately provided medical aid, the DOJ said, and Blake was taken to Frontert Hospital in Milwaukee, which remains. Chesky, who's been with the department for 7 years, and all other officers involved have been placed on administrative leave, of course, as always. An investigation into the case remains ongoing for the DOJ Division of Criminal Investigation, according to authorities. The department aims to provide a report within 30 days. NBC5 has not independently verified the information being provided by investigators. The details are some of the first to be released on the moments leading up to the shooting, which has become the center of demonstrations and sparked nationwide calls for justice. On Wednesday, alone, several professional sports teams and athletes have refused to play in wake of the shooting. Blake's attorney said during a news conference that the bullet struck his spine, resulting in near complete removal of his colon and small intestine, as well as damaging his kidney and liver. Blake, according to families and attorneys, was paralyzed by the shooting, but it remains unclear if that will be permanent. Yeah, and then after he was transported to the hospital, he was handcuffed to the bed because apparently he had some warrants. But since then, he's been uncuffed, and those warrants have been dismissed. So this whole situation is unfortunate. It's like the same shit keeps happening over and over again. And then his kids were in the car too, so his kids are going to need to see a psychiatrist because that's a very traumatizing thing. And then it says most recently, a night of unrest on Tuesday ended with 3 people shot, 2 of them fatally in Illinois, which I'm about to get into at this juncture. So a kid by the name of Kyle Rittenhouse took it upon himself to cross state lines with an AR-15 and proceeds to join in protecting businesses and whatnot, and he ended up shooting 3 people, killing 2, and the third lost his arm. So first of all, he broke 2 laws. The first law he broke is carrying, or should I say being under the age with a firearm. You're 17, the law states you have to be 18 or older to carry that type of firearm. The next law he broke was transporting a firearm across state lines. That's the second crime, which is a felony. So he has those 2 crimes right off the bat, and then you shoot 3 people, you kill 2, and you injure 1. And basically he was responding to a call to arms by a white supremacist militia group by the name of Kenosha Guard. So they basically updated the case. So it says Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old Antioch teen who came to Kenosha as a member of a militia group, and his mother should be charged as well because she drove him across state lines with that firearm. So more than likely, if they push for it, she can be charged as an accessory to murder. It says he was charged Thursday afternoon with multiple counts of homicide and attempted homicide. Rittenhouse is expected to appear in court in Lake County Friday for an extradition hearing. According to the criminal complaint, Rittenhouse is charged with first-degree intentional homicide for the death of 26-year-old Silver Lake resident Anthony Hubbard, attempted first-degree intentional homicide for the shooting of Gage Grosskreutz, 26, of West Atlas, and first-degree reckless homicide for the death of Joseph Rosenbaum, 36, of Kenosha. He is also charged with 2 counts of first-degree reckless endangering safety for shooting his AR-15 rifle toward other people in the crowd who were not injured. And you got dumbass people on the internet talking about he was defending himself. No, he went there and fanned the flames, and now you got people dead because of that. When he should have stayed his stupid ass at home, not cross state lines with a firearm. But it proceeds to say toward other people in the crowd who were not injured, and with possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18. Didn't I just say that? So yeah, he going under the jailhouse. According to the criminal complaint, Rittenhouse was speaking to a reporter named Richard McGinnis just before the first shooting at about 11:45 p.m. at a used car lot on the corner of Sheridan Road and 63rd Street. McGinnis told police he was walking with Rittenhouse and warning the teen he was not handling his weapon well, which means that he couldn't have had too much experience with it. I'm pretty sure he's fired it, but I guess somebody that had experience with, wielding that weapon noticed that, and now it should have been a red flag right there. It says, shortly thereafter, McGinnis then saw Rosenbaum and others moving quickly toward Rittenhouse. According to the complaint, Rosenbaum appears to throw a plastic bag at the teenager. The complaint states that Rosenbaum appears to be unarmed throughout the encounter. McGinnis told police he saw Rittenhouse raise the gun. McGinnis stated that the first round went into the ground, and when the second shot went off, the defendant actually had the gun aimed at Rosenbaum. McGinnis stated he did not hear the two exchange any words. The complaint states that McGinnis stated that Rosenbaum was attempting to grab the barrel of the gun when he was shot. After the first shooting, the reporter tried to give Rosenbaum medical aid, taking off his shirt to try to put pressure on a wound. As the defendant is running away, he can be heard saying on the phone on video, "I just killed somebody," the complaint states. Other people on the street then shout that Rittenhouse had shot someone as they see him running down Sheridan Road. According to the complaint, video shows Rittenhouse falling as he runs away. Huber is seen approaching with a skateboard in his hand. This is what you see in the video. This is basically where the video picks up and it sees, Hubbard hitting him with the skateboard and trying to get the weapon away from him. That's what people are seeing. They didn't see the before. And this is why people are saying he was defending himself. But he incited violence by shooting at that unarmed dude. And then it says, Huber tries to grab Rittenhouse's gun with one hand while hitting him in the shoulder with his skateboard with his right hand. The defendant then fires one round, which can be heard on the video. Huber staggers away, taking several steps, then collapsing to the ground. Rittenhouse then points his gun at Grosskreutz, who freezes and ducks and takes a step back, according to the complaint. Grosskreutz then puts his hands in the air, then moves toward the defendant, who aims his gun at Grosskreutz and shoots him. After the shooting, widely shared video shows Rittenhouse running and then walking toward armored law enforcement vehicles as people frantically shout that he had just shot people. He walked past the law enforcement vehicles. And that is one of the reasons why people are rioting, because you have somebody that killed 2 people and he's able to freely walk past the police with a firearm. But if say someone else did that, it would have been all bad. It says a friend of Rittenhouse spoke to a detective and told him Rittenhouse had called him and said he shot someone. The shooting reignited controversy in a city already roiling following the shooting of Jacob Blake by a Kenosha police officer Sunday. Protesters and supporters of BLM movement saw the shooting as proof of the danger of right-wing militia and the Boogaloo movement. I don't know what that is. Commenters contrasted the shooting of Blake with the video of the man believed to be Rittenhouse walking away past law enforcement after the shooting. Yeah, they're basically contrasting where it says it was justified for him to shoot a guy who hadn't yet had access to a weapon versus a guy who has access to a weapon, and not only that, shot several people. It says the American Civil Liberties Union called on Miskinnis and Sheriff David Beth to resign in part because of their reaction to the shooting. Others argued Rittenhouse was acting in self-defense, with many commenters calling the man killed terrorists. How shocked are we that 17-year-olds with rifles decided that they had to maintain order when no one else would? Because first of all, it's illegal for him to have the weapon in the first place. He should have allowed somebody else to do that, like the actual police, that's in that city. It says Rittenhouse is scheduled to attend an extradition hearing in Lake County at 9 a.m. on Friday. It's unclear when he will be returned to Kenosha for his initial appearance on charges. So yeah, he's going to be charged in 2 different states and counties. So if convicted on first-degree intentional homicide, he will face a mandatory life sentence. Crazy. Shit is crazy, boy. Shit is crazy. There's like so much stuff is going on, so many distractions, so much anarchy going on. It's unfortunate that a situation like this happened. It's crazy. Let me see something. All right. And then another thing that was being said is that him and that militia group was looking to get deputized, and they were basically told no because they didn't trust him with not doing something rash. And then you see what happens. They did something rash. So, but it says, let's see here. So apparently where he lives, Antioch, is 15 to 20 miles from Kenosha. So that shows you how small those states are, unless the two, or should I say the city he lives in must be near the border. It says Kenosha Police Chief Daniel Miskin has confirmed that a 17-year-old resident has been charged. He said he called the killing senseless violence and said he wouldn't say what led to the shooting. I mean, if a person throw a plastic bag at you and you turn around and shoot them, that's kind of excessive. Late Tuesday, photographer Tayfon Koski captured a series of images that show a fight between the armed civilians and protesters. So this is basically what they seen on camera. This looks like him being kicked by some dude. Looked like he jumped off the ground and tried to kick him. Okay, and then the person with the skateboard, this must be Huber. Because I think this is when they was trying to get the gun away from him after he shot that other dude. So, and then I guess this is right here when the guy puts his hands in the air and he gets shot after. And so now, of course, a state of emergency has been implemented in that area. Yeah, this shit is crazy. So yeah, this is the part right here that I was talking about. It says Bev said that he had received requests from community members to deputize citizens to aid police in responding to unrest in the area at press conference today, but he rejected the idea. What happened last night is probably the perfect reason why I wouldn't, he said. They are a liability to me and the county and the state of Wisconsin. He said people carrying large guns on Kenosha streets create confrontation and hurt law enforcement. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Call said the violence and destruction in Kenosha was despicable. Yeah, bringing guns to a protest is always going to end bad, because you're going to have one person from either side trying to incite something, and then, things just get out of hand in that situation. So, this is a very, very unfortunate incident that should have never happened. And now you got people dead, and you got another person whose life is basically over, in a sense that he's not gonna see day or light. This shit is crazy. But moving on from that, I wanted to talk about Fort Hood. A lot of craziness has been going on at the Texas military base. This year alone, several people have been killed. It says 15. All right, so it says everything we know about this 15 soldiers dead at Fort Hood this year. So yeah, apparently there's been a lot of reports of sexual assault and violent disputes at the base, and a lot of the stuff has been covered up. And then you look at the heads, or should I say the entrance part. It says, "Welcome to 3 Corps in Fort Hood, the great place," which is an oxymoron because it hasn't been a not so great place with all these people dying. But it says the embattled Fort Hood Army base in Texas has grappled with at least 15 deaths this year in what has become a series of mysterious disappearances and fatal incidents. The base was determined earlier this month to have the highest number of soldier murders and sexual assault cases among all Army installations. Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy announced an independent probe into the base's climate, saying he hoped it would help them better understand why this is happening in its installation. I mean, you got this COVID shit not helping things. You have all these people locked down in this base. Some of them probably have some type of mental battle that they're trying to deal with, and they don't know how to deal with it, and so they're taking it out on other people. You probably got people sexually frustrated, so they're going out assaulting other fellow soldiers and cadets, and none of that is an excuse for what's been going on, but those are probably some of the reasons why these things are going on. But the shit is crazy. So it says these are some of the deaths that's happened in the recent months. Private Eric Christopher Hogan and PFC, I think that's Peace Chief or Private Chief. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Army acronyms, but it says PFC Anthony Neville Peak Jr. Hogan 19 and Peak Jr. 21 were both killed in a crash just north of Georgetown on February 1st. The deadly collision occurred when, for unknown reasons, their car traveled off the left side of the road and struck another vehicle. So that right there, unless in their toxicology report it says that they were under the influence, somebody possibly forced them off the road. So these are, he look young as hell. That shit is crazy. Then it says SPC Shelby Tyler Jones, 20, died March 1st after he was shot at a strip club in Killeen. Or Killeen. That's this shit is crazy. Several miles from the base, the Army Times report, no arrests have been made in the case. Wow. At a strip, well, yeah, strip clubs is dark, and people ain't gonna be talking or whatever. Then it says SPC Christopher Wayne Sawyer, 29, was found unresponsive at his post residence on March 5th. Stars and Stripes reported his death is under investigation, but foul play is not suspected. No further details surrounding his death have been released. Unresponsive. Usually when someone's unresponsive, they possibly pop pills, overdose. I mean, that will come up in the toxicology report. If there's no signs of struggle, if there is signs of struggle, then that means somebody did something. Then we have SPC Freddie Benigno de la Cruz Jr., 23, Army vet, one of 3 killed March 14 in shooting at an apartment complex in Killeen. A lot going on in Killeen. No further details have been released. Michael Stephen Wardrobe, 20, former Fort Hood soldier, was allegedly shot dead March 23rd in a dispute with 22-year-old SPC Hovino Hamel Roy, who was stationed at the base. It's unclear what started the altercation. I mean, possibly one probably had a girlfriend and the other was messing with him, or he felt as though the guy wronged him in some type of way. You never know. Private Gregory Morales. The skeletal remains of Morales, 24, were found June 1st in a field near the base in Killeen, about 10 months after he was last seen. An investigation is ongoing and authorities suspect foul play. Yeah, you find skeletal remains 10 months after the fact. Then we have Private Major Morta. The body of Morta, 26, was discovered July 17th after he was believed to have drowned in Stillhouse Hollow Lake, about 15 miles from the base. An investigation is ongoing and officials did not say whether foul play was suspected. So they were able to come and go from the base, it seems. One person killed at a strip club, another killed at an apartment complex, another at a lake. This shit is crazy. Then we have PFC Vanessa Guilla, and this is the one that pretty much made headlines, where her body was found chopped up and stuff. It says Guilla, 20, went missing April 22nd in a parking lot at the base after her family said she complained of sexual harassment. And of course, you know, these HRs don't be taking this stuff as serious as they should. And look at what happened. It says she was found dead July 1st in a shallow grave near Leon River in Bell County, about 20 miles east of Fort Hood. And then it being named Fort, man, it's a lot of irony and unfortunate things surrounding this base. Guillen was believed to have been bludgeoned to death at the base by a fellow soldier, SPC Aaron David Robinson, who later killed himself. Coward. He was identified as a suspect in the disappearance of Guillen, and an attorney for the victim's family claimed he also attacked Guillen with a hammer and dismembered her body with a machete. So what she do? Turn you down and so you went crazy and did that? This shit is crazy, you know, and unfortunate. Then we have PFC Brandon S. Rosecrans, 27, found dead from gunshot wounds May 18th on the side of the road in Harker Heights, Texas, 3 miles away from where his Jeep was discovered engulfed in flames. He was allegedly gunned down by 28-year-old Brandon Michael Olivares, although no motives have been released. So if the Jeep was discovered engulfed in flames, the two had to be with each other, because you set somebody's car on fire to get rid of evidence, and that's why the car was on fire, because the person that did this was somebody he knew, and they had to have been riding together. They possibly got into some type of argument and it led to this. And then we have SPC Francisco Gilberto Hernandez Vargas, age 24, discovered dead August 2nd after he disappeared underwater while being pulled on an inner tube behind a motorboat at the same lake where Mota's body was recovered. He wasn't wearing a life jacket, I don't think. I don't play around with that water. You gotta have on a life jacket, and you better know how to swim too. SPC Cole Jacob Atten, 22, died of injuries August 12th after he was hit by a car as he provided assistance at the scene of an accident in Killeen. Sergeant Bradley Moore, 36, Texas Army National Guard soldier, died in a training accident while completing a land navigation course, August 13th at the base. Sergeant Elder Fernandez, a body believed to be the missing 23-year-old, was discovered hanging from a tree Tuesday evening in Temple, about 30 miles from the base. Fernandez, who had reported sexual abuse prior to his disappearance, was last seen August 17th when a superior dropped him off at home in Killeen. Yeah, somebody sexually assaulted him. It's possible they came back around and killed him, or it's possible that he couldn't deal with that situation and it led to him committing suicide. But all these situations are very unfortunate, and it's like there's no type of oversight. If you ask me, that entire base should be decommissioned because you got all these different incidents happening and nobody knows anything. It's just happening. Wow, boy. Wow. This shit is crazy. But moving on from that into a bit of entertainment. So apparently Bella Thorne has disrupted the OnlyFans ecosystem, and you got a lot of people angry at her, primarily the people that sell news and stuff on the platform, because it's led to a whole bunch of changes after she made several millions, and the people that bought her stuff feel as though they were duped because she promised them something that she clearly didn't deliver. So you had a bunch of chargebacks, and since that situation, OnlyFans has made some adjustments. So it says she joined a little over a week ago, racking in more than 2 million on the subscription platform. The news hasn't gone over well with sex workers who make their livelihood on the platform. Hundreds of OnlyFans performers have decried Thorne's highly publicized arrival, arguing that she's taken opportunities from workers who are relying on the subscription-based platform for income. During the pandemic, the site, which boasts over 30 million users, has grown in popularity amid the quarantine. I mean, these sex workers have basically made it into a sex platform when in actuality it's for people with fans to come on there and purchase things. So, and in reality, you should find another line of work rather than selling your body. But people gotta do what they gotta do, I guess. It says on Thursday, the backlash went into overdrive when some new OnlyFans policies went into effect. The updated rules dictate that no vendor on the site can charge over $50 for pay-per-view content, and no user can tip more than $100. Further, some international vendors complained that they now had to wait 30 days to receive payment from the site when they used to be able to do so far more quickly. Because the policy changes coincided with Thorne, a former Disney child star, now acts in indie films, has her own weed line, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they're blaming her for the changes because they took effect after the situation. It says, but in a statement, OnlyFans said any changes to transaction limits are not based on any one user. A lot of people are going to feel as though they're saying that to cover their ass. It says transaction limits are set to help prevent overspending and to allow our users to continue to use the site safely. The statement continued, we value all the feedback we received since this change was implemented, and we will continue to review these limits. Jenna Fox, who's been selling content on OnlyFans since 2017, says she didn't believe the company's response, calling it a way to cover their own butt. OnlyFans is a full-time job for some of us, mostly the only income some of us have. When she has movies and other outlets to continue to make money, said Fox. She already is rich. On top of the 2 million she made, she didn't hurt anyone but the sex community and hasn't spoken out about it. That's why we are not okay with what happened. Meanwhile, OnlyFans members have also claimed in recent days that Thorne has scammed users into believing she is nude on the site, referencing a screenshot in which she supposedly promised a naked photo in exchange for $200. Well, apparently the screenshot, we don't know if it's real or not, but somebody put a screenshot basically saying that she would promise to send nudes for $200. But it says in an interview last week, Thorne 23 said she joined OnlyFans not only for a source of additional income, but also to do research for a movie she wants to make with the Florida Project director Sean Baker. It's a future we are researching as I'm living it currently. So basically she's saying that she's living as a sex worker, but you're not putting nudes on the platform, as the platform users say. What are the ins and outs? What does a platform like this do to its users? What's the connective material between your life and your life inside the world of OnlyFans? How can it change your life for the worse and the better? How far are you willing to go, and how far do you want to go? You can be me or this talented girl from Montana, and OnlyFans can change your life if you want to, of course. Much of the controversy have to do with her look into research. Longtime performers say that as a white celebrity, she will not have the same experience as those who face a negative stigma for sex work. And because she amassed a fortune on the platform in such a short period of time, some argue that the general public will get the idea that joining OnlyFans is a way to make quick, easy money rather than being a full-time user support. I mean, people thought that before this happened, that this was a means to make quick money. You had a whole bunch of people making OnlyFans to make a quick buck. I mean, you had Ruby Rose. She made like $100,000 in one day or something like that, and that happened like a month or so ago. So this isn't the first time that people have gone there to make a quick buck. You know, you have people that's been on TV shows that went there to, basically take advantage of their exposure on TV and to getting people to buy their content on OnlyFans. Like those chicks from the 60 Days In, they went on there too. So it is what it is. By Bella saying this is just an experiment or using it for research really degrades our work. I mean, that's kind of that's kind of ironic because you guys are degrading yourself by doing that. When I mean, I understand, money is tight. There's not many jobs and stuff around because of what's going on. But, I mean, if that's your last resort, it's kind of unfortunate. It really is. It really is. But it says, Stephanie Michelle, an LA-based performer who has been on the site for 2 years. If she wanted to know how sex workers really live, she could have easily shadowed any number of creators working in LA full time. Bella herself will never get the authentic sex worker experience she craves because she's a celebrity. Making millions as a sex worker on your first week is not a universal experience. Thorne says she will not be offering nudity on her page, where she charges $20 a month for a subscription. So far, her page has featured photos of her wearing a bikini, smoking marijuana, eating a hot dog. She says she hopes the account can become a place where she shares personal good night and good morning messages with fans and offer songwriting classes. So yeah, that's why people hurried up and try to buy subscriptions, because when you hear OnlyFans, people think of nudes because you have all of these people involved in sex work on that platform. So that's the first thing people are going to think. So if you kind of look at it from that lens, they have themselves to blame for making a platform primarily notorious for, nudes. And then you have people flocking to there because they think this person is going to release nudes. And then you also have to blame the people that's purchasing for being idiots and not waiting to see what's going to be offered rather than just going there and blindly subscribing or whatever. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be more fallout from this situation moving forward. But moving on from this story, is looking as though there's been a reason behind the 50 Cent and T.I back and forth, because as you know, T.I basically called out 50 Cent for a versus battle, and apparently behind the scenes they've been working together in conjunction with a new TV show called 24/7. So it says 24/7 TV series from Curtis 50 Cent Jackson starring T.I and works at CBS. So basically, T.I is going to be the star of this show, and he's going to be playing the role of the cop Derek Parker, who's been involved in some of the biggest cases involving the hip-hop community. So this is trolling and marketing. A very good trolling and marketing job put forth by them. This is a very elaborate trolling and marketing job. It says final negotiations for the project, which will be produced by CBS TV Studios and Lionsgate, where Jackson is based under his mega deal with Lionsgate-owned Stars. We revealed details about the drama on Instagram. 24/7 is being written by Dallas Jackson based on the book by Derek Parker and Matt Dial. The book centers on Parker, who will be played by T.I. He worked on some of the biggest criminal cases in rap history, from the shooting at Club New York to the first shooting of Tupac Shakur. Curtis Jackson executive produces through his unit film and television along with Dallas Jackson. T.I via Grand Hustle Entertainment. Brian Scher and Tom Sullivan. Curtis Jackson is not formally attached to act, but may appear as he does on most series he produces. That is true. Such as SARS, Power, and ABC's For Life, both big shows. And he's turned Power into a universe, if you will, with multiple spin-offs, which is how you keep a show going, which was, smart. It says T.I starred on season 2 of Stars, Boss, and co-stars in the upcoming Jeans, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, an elaborate troll job, but I do think he still wants to battle 50 Cent, but I think they got together behind the scenes and drummed up that back and forth, and then get the eyes on both of their platforms, and then you're gonna have people tuning in, and then you have 50 post this photo where it says T.I set to star in new hit TV show, and they got T.I smiling with a glass of that brown, and then it says executive produced by Curtis 50 Cent Jackson below. So this should be interesting. This should be interesting. A lot of good shows and things are set to take off. But that's going to pretty much do it for this week's podcast. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Before you go, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a like and a comment below. If you're listening on Anchor, Spotify, and everywhere else, I also appreciate you all for tuning in. Make sure you share this with your friends and family. Take care of yourself, and until the next one, peace. Alright guys, so shortly after the podcast, I got an alert on my phone saying that the actor that played the Black Panther has died, Chadwick Boseman. And I went on his I went on the internet to confirm, and from his account it says, "It is with immeasurable grief that we confirm the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016 and battled with it these last 4 years as it progressed to stage 4. A true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many of the films you have come to love so much. From Marshall to The Five Bloods, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and several more. All were filmed during and between countless surgeries and chemotherapy. It was the honor of his career to bring King T'Challa to life in Black Panther. He died in his home with his family, with his wife and family by his side. The family thanks you for your love and prayers and asks that you continue to respect their privacy during this difficult time." This is so crazy. This explains that picture that was going around a while back that basically showed him losing weight. So this entire time he was battling colon cancer, which of course, you know, when you're battling cancer, it causes you to shrink. You know, I've had family members, you know, deal with this as well. So this is crazy. It's like, wow. Only thing I can do is, you know, offer my condolences to his family. This is crazy. But he was going through this for 4 years. For 4 years. That's crazy. That is crazy. Wow. At the age of 42. Then lost Kobe this year. Then lost Chadwick Boseman this year. And lost a lot of people this year, man. A lot. It's crazy. So, yeah, that's wow. But I wanted to add that to, you know, the podcast, because I don't want to have to talk about it the following week, you know, after it already happened. It's like crazy. It's like as soon as I ended my podcast, I looked down at my phone and I got the alert. But man, wow. But everybody that's listening to this, take care of yourself. Peace and blessings to you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.